I request students, please try to understand what he says. And definitely it's a great opportunity for you to listen to him and take his advices. And I hope students will definitely think in the direction instead of only thinking for job.
Very poor backgrounds, but very humble, very grounded. They want to do something, but there's no direction, right? So I think we just need to give a direction in the road. That's what we need to do that. So that's what is missing. I think we are trying to do that. One more thing, I think there's one more thing. So we say anything. Episode. Yes. Weed remover. So we talk about harvesting of this. So this team is also working on removing the weed from the farming. So this team is working on that. This guy is EC guy, electronics committee is like developing a solution along with some attendant students. Again, the one thing we could do here is please sit down. Thank you so much. One more thing we could do is we could get multiple year students together to solve the problems. Years, departments, all together. We are able to do that. Please join me in welcoming Nati. Thank you for joining us. One more thing, they are working on wild animal rescue, wild animal repellent system actually. I think you interacted with them. So wild animals entering into agriculture farms and they damage all the crops, right? So this team is actually solving those problems. Thank you so much for working on that. See, all these, if you understand, these are all local problems that you already know, right? Somebody has to come from outside and tell you, but you already know these problems. People are working on these solutions now, students are developing solutions for it. I think that's a great part of it. One more thing I want to create interest for you also, what that we are going to include is in the first year, second semester, we are including design thinking now. Design thinking is sustainable development goals. Then after intended, if a problem solved, we should understand how it is affecting the people, right? So that subject will be included in your subject, in your studies also. So you will understand what is the problem, who is facing the problem, how to solve that. First year, second semester, second year, first semester, you will work on real problems, solve those, and then develop your understanding. Okay, so we are building that platform for you, and you should be happy that your college is actually supporting it, because I go to different places, I told you, right? There's not much support like this always, but your college is giving us utilize that. There are challenges also. There are many students came, few dropped also. I'm not saying everything is rosy. There are challenges we are facing also. I have very few challenges you will also face. Parental pressure, huge. 30,000 salary might be one also in the common statement, key area. On a 30,000 job salary, income also maybe, in the customer also maybe. This is constantly here now. Alaanti background unde innovation cheyadam, it's a very tough job, right? Because you want to settle at 30,000, how will you build a company, right? So it's a very tough thing, we always face this. Second is this ecosystem is chala duranga. Of course, network is there, incubators are there online, everything, but still having a personal person is different, right? The person talking to you, getting feedback. To get to that point is also really challenging here. Right? The nearest place we can go to ecosystem is Vishakhapatnam. It's again 3 hours drive or bus or 3 hours. So these are some challenges we are always facing. Technology-wise, again very good at right? We don't know technology that much. We are not studied deeper. Right? We always done surface level problem, but we don't know how to go deeper. For a startup, we need to understand deeper level. So that doesn't happen also. So these are challenges we always face. But at the same time, there are ways, students already shown you examples where they are developing their solutions. It is possible. Take this as an opportunity. I don't want to take much of your time. Take this as an opportunity, explore, please talk to us, come to us, or talk to your department faculties, talk to your HODs, utilize their support. They are supporting really well actually. It's not that it's not happening, it is happening. There always will be challenges, you have to present in a way they understand it. Okay? So please do that, take that opportunities. Build your companies or build innovation. See, innovation in have to build always a startup. Okay? Innovation will be helpful in the corporate also. So if you have that mindset, you can build your careers in corporate also in a better way. Because hackathons also, they are asking you to corporate to hackathons nowadays, right? So in that case, it is helpful also. So take these opportunities, support is there, fund is there to support you, places we are building, sir is supporting to build a floor completely to develop emotions and also that is also happening as we speak. And coming to MSR sir, we all call him very dearly MSR because he's Mahankala Srinivas Rao, right? His name starts with Mahankala. He's avatar actually, no doubt on that. I'm not trying to boost you sir, don't take it that way. Because we are here and talking about it. I personally have interacted directly or indirectly in T-Hub so many times. And my startups have went to him so many times. One of the startup partners actually got funded because of you. So one of the mentors actually, one of that. He will help you no matter what. Either with connections or with fund or something he will definitely connect you. You will not go empty-handed. Mahankala would ante garu ichi pampistar. Right? This sir ante manaki sir. We fondly call it. I am very thankful for you for coming here sir. It's a pleasure to host you and looking forward to take some insights from you. Thank you so much. Good luck to each of you.
Thank you so much sir for your valuable overview. Now the much awaited moment has arrived, the introduction of our esteemed chief guest. This part will be presented by Ms. Shivani Panna and Ms. Shivani Balena. I hand over the proceedings to them.
I take the honor of introducing Mr. Srinivas Rao Mahankali sir, who fondly called MSR in the startup ecosystem in an accomplished IT industry. Veteran entrepreneur and innovation leader with over 3 decades of experience. With a bachelor's degree in engineering, electrical engineering from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and an MBA from IIM, Bangalore. He started his career as an IT professional and worked for 12 years. His initial entrepreneurship journey started as a part of promoter team at Network Solutions, a network and systems integration entity which later got acquired by IBM. Later, he co-founded Orjas, a cybersecurity security firm with a vision to help organizations manage risk and enhance information value through innovation and excellence, which later got acquired by National Stock Exchange. MSR transitioned into ecosystem building first as CEO of Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, a social impact entity whose mission is to catalyze 10 million entrepreneurs by 2030. Later, he served as the CEO of T-Hub, India's largest incubation center, leading the organization to become a prominent innovation hub in India. Under his leadership, T-Hub transformed as one of the most dynamic entrepreneurial environments in the country. He has empowered countless innovators and startups to achieve transformative success. Currently, he is on the advisory board of Positive Technologies, startup working towards strategic use of customer data. A Biro Capital, a USD 25 million early stage venture capital fund. Bauer School of Entrepreneurship, shaping the next generation of innovators and business leaders and social venture partners. He is the adjunct professor at Administrative Staff College of India and the Indian Institution of Management, Raipur, shaping next generation of entrepreneurs. MSR continues to be a driving force in the startup and technology landscapes, providing strategic guidance on business growth, investment trends, and ecosystem development. On his personal front, he and his wife, Mrs. Karuna Rao, a special educator, are the proud parents of 2 daughters. His expertise in scaling high-impact ventures, fostering industry partnerships, and navigating emerging technology landscapes has made him a sought-after mentor and advisor. And no words can justify his true selfless motivation to support and to encourage innovators. A big round of applause to Mr. M.S.
Thank you girls for presenting the profile of our honorable chief guest. Now, the moment we have been eagerly waiting for has arrived. I kindly request our chief guest, along with our principal sir, director sir, and all the dignitaries on the dais to come forward for the official unveiling of AITAM RISE logo and website. Ladies and gentlemen, let's celebrate this milestone with a big round of applause. unveiling the new identity of AITAM RISE. Now that we have witnessed the logo and design of our website, let us honor the exceptional talents who designed the logo and website, the winners of the competition of Web Hackathon and Logo Design. Now I request our dignitaries to join in awarding the prize, and I request Mr. MSR sir to hand over the check to the logo winner. I call the logo winner Ms. Sandhya, alumni of AITAM College. Due to her work commitment, she is not available. I request Mr. G.L. Narayanan, Sandhya's father, to come and receive the prize on behalf of her. Please give a big round of applause. Now I request our director sir to hand over the cash prizes to the website winners. Second runner-up, Mr. Abhishek, CSM final year. Right now he is not available. I request Ms. Kritika to take but on her behalf. First runner-up, Mr. S. Vinod, CSE third year. And the winner goes to Mr. Kanti from CSM final year. Congratulations to all our talented winners. Your creativity truly reflects the spirit of AITAM. I request our dignitaries to take their seats. As a mark of gratitude and respect, we now felicitate our esteemed chief guest. I request Principal Sir, Director Sir, and all the dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward and honor and facilitate our chief guest.
good afternoon. Good afternoon. So first of all, thank you, Naidu sir. Thank you, Mahankala Rao sir. Thank you, Professor Satish, Professor Srinivas Rao, my friend Manoj, for having me here. Of course, all the heads of department, faculty, and young students. It's a real privilege and honor to be here. Manoj reached out to me about 2 months ago, asked me to come here. So first let me start with a confession. I know a little bit about engineering, I know a little bit about management, but my knowledge in geography is not so great. So when he said you have to come to Tekali, I said first let me find out where Tekali is. Right? So then obviously I used Google, I found out. Then Manoj said you should fly to Tekali. I said that doesn't seem to be a great idea because I have to go to Vizag and then come 3 hours. So I said let me figure out how to come by train. And originally when I looked up the train, it said you get off at Srikakulam Road. Then I found out later on you can get off at Nopara. So that's why I'm here. So interesting journey to be here. So first of all, real pleasure and honor to be here today on this occasion. And I must first of all commend the college management for this wonderful initiative. Right? And I tell you why I think it is a wonderful initiative. I think Director Sir spoke about why India needs more entrepreneurs. And the future of India lies in the hands of young people like you. So today we have approximately 1.8 lakh startups, but India needs about close to 10 lakh startups or 1 million startups. Right? And today, whatever I saw, I met 3 of the startups today. They are all sitting here, I can see them. One was trying to solve the issue for cattle farmers. That team there was trying to solve the problem for shrimp farmers. Third one was trying to solve the problem of animal enforcement on this thing. So just amazing. I see the sense of problem solving, the sense of creativity, the sense of collaboration where different teams are coming together. So I put together a few slides, and actually as I was walking through and meeting some of the startups in the lab, I felt what I'm going to say here is kind of redundant because whatever problems I said is to try and solve are kind of getting solved. But having said that, since I spent some time preparing the deck, right? I spent about an hour preparing the deck, so you now have to listen to me. So the theme of okay. So what I'm going to talk about is basically I call it dream big, start local. And I think all of you have the opportunity to be change makers, to make a definite impact. As Manoj said, India needs now more job creators as opposed to job seekers. Right? And all of you have an opportunity. And this initiative of AITAM RISE is a wonderful initiative where you get an opportunity to problem solve, you get an opportunity to get support from the ecosystem, you get some funding, right? You have access to all kinds of labs, you have access to high quality faculty, you get an opportunity to try out new things, right? So let me start with the question. How many of you want to start something on your own? Want to be your own boss? Only the girls want to be their own boss, the boys don't want to be. I want to see more hands. Okay, so I'm hoping once the incubator is set up, and if I'm called back here and we ask the same question, we'll see everyone raising their hands at some point. Okay, so I thought I'd start with some common myths that people have that you have to be in a large city like Bangalore or Hyderabad to do a startup. So let me tell you my own story very quickly. I was a first generation entrepreneur. I also did engineering, did electrical engineering from Usmania University. I was a decent student in the top 5 or top 10 type of thing. But fairly soon I realized that if you want to make a real impact, you must try and do something on your own. It took me a while. It took me about 12 years of working before I decided to do something. But let me tell you that 20 years as an entrepreneur We're an incredible journey, and forget, it's not about how much money one has made, but it is about the experience, the network, the actual ability to create, between the two companies which I helped build, we created 4,000 jobs. Yes? And more than anything else, if somebody asks what gives you the most satisfaction, it is about putting food on the table for so many families. Right? So that is the opportunity which is in front of you. And I think some common things which I wanted to dispel was that entrepreneurship is everywhere. You don't have to go to Hyderabad, you don't have to go to Vizag, you don't have to go to Bangalore. There are plenty of opportunities. As I said, I saw 3 people building ideas. Of course, there is a lot of work to be done to flesh them out so that they can become businesses. But there is an opportunity. Funding, a lot of times people say that if I don't have funding, I can't start. I can tell you this. The 2 ventures which I built, one was bootstrapped, we didn't raise any money from anywhere. The second one we raised money. The second one we raised money because the first one was successful and we got an exit. So investors were queuing up to say to start. So you don't need funding. If you build a good business with good, with solving a good problem, having good customers, demonstrating some revenue, some traction, investors will queue up to give you money. You don't. Plenty of grants are available. Manoj referred to, I give one example. I haven't. Which is the startup which is solving for the weed problem? Weed removal problem. So there is a startup from Mahindra University, which was started by a guy called Rahul. The name of the company is Harvested Robotics. They started it when they were in second year engineering, just like you are. And they have just raised about 8 crores recently, funded by Mr. Mahankala Srinivas Rao. Right? So if you are solving a good problem and you figure out the technical aspects, you figure out how to sell, how to get customers, people will line up to give you money. So don't chase funding, funding will come to you. You don't need to be from an IIT and IIM to be successful. How many of you have heard of Zepto? Zepto is started by people about your age. They haven't gone to Harvard, they haven't gone to any of the IIMs to start something. Right? Now, very quickly, I thought I'll give a few examples and I keep this short because of Manoj is telling me that keep it short. So I keep it short. Right? So within 3 hours of where you are, I think Director Sir mentioned that there are 8,000 startups in Andhra. There are 1,200 startups in Vizag itself, close by. Right? And Vizag and Vijayawada and Tirupati, I'm seeing more and more startups coming in. So some examples, and all started by, I'll quickly race through the examples, I won't spend too much time. So this is a young chap called Renil, similar age group, about 21, 22, from Nellore. He started an AI platform, and as you can see, he has now 200 people working for him. Right? There's a pharma student who started this company called 14 Impressions. Again, pharma B.Pharm student. And today he's got operations in Sri Lanka and India. Then there's a company called Imagine. Okay, so this is a platform to enable a lot of working ladies working out of home to go online, to be able to sell what they are building online. And he's now built a fairly large brand started with WhatsApp and Instagram, and now as a full-fledged direct-to-consumer business. This is from Godavari, aquaculture analytics for shrimp farmers. Again, to prevent disease outbreak and optimize feed. Again, someone who understands the local aqua sector. All of us are familiar with EV. I was very pleasantly surprised when Manoj told me that the EV in which is Girish and Renu, they took me on a ride around the campus. So they told me that the first vehicle they bought from outside, the second EV which is now running, I drove on, was actually internally built, right? So kudos to all those involved. So EV is going to be a huge opportunity for all of us. And EV is interdisciplinary because you need mechanical engineering, you need electrical engineering, you need automotive engineering, you need computer science, etc. After, for example, came out of IIT Madras, as an example, right? One more company called Citizen, which came from Tirupati. This is used for eKYC by the banks. Zebi from Vizag. I know you have a large computer science department. I'm sure you are learning about blockchain. So land records is a big issue, big area of concern. So proving ownership of land is a big issue in India. And Zebi seems to have solved that problem and already working with the AP government, right? And one last example, which is this company called Spruce, software as a service for field automation. Now I'm giving these examples just to tell you that it is happening around you. It is not happening in Bangalore, it is not happening in Hyderabad, it is happening around you. And I think what you are getting today by the launch of the incubator is a ready-made platform for you to try out ideas and experiment and come up with solutions to real-world problems. Now, why is it advantageous for you to be in a place like Tekali? Right? The answer is very simple. Because first of all, the cost of living in Tekali is much lower than it is in Hyderabad or in Bangalore. Right? You will get talent also. A lot of you may not want to leave Tekali, want to be close by Tekali, Palasa, Srikakulam, whatever, because you want to be closer to your parents, etc. So talent will be much cheaper here compared to Bangalore. Real estate is much cheaper. You'll have less competition for talent, and one more thing. Some of you whom I met, right? For example, somebody talked about cashew farming, startup, these guys, right? So they have actually seen the problem, seen the decisions, etc. So you bring local knowledge, local authentic knowledge of problems which are waiting to be solved. So let's now quickly jump into how you can think about becoming an entrepreneur. And I think this is where the incubation cell which is being set up is going to be very powerful. See, ultimately, entrepreneurship is about problem solving. It's about trying to find the problem and saying I can solve this problem better than anybody else. And I think what you will be getting an opportunity now is to experiment, try out new ideas, come up with new ideas, and the ideas are around you. Right? So if you think about this, we have problems I agree. So for example, paddy is a big area of cultivation here in this area. Paddy uses a lot of water. Okay? And water is becoming more and more a scarce problem. How can we reduce consumption of water yet give higher yield of paddy? Second, logistics. Third, education. Right? We all know physics wala and people like that. We also came from a small town, so there is no reason why the next physics wala cannot come from a place like Italy. Then healthcare. Right? We were talking about a few other problems I was talking about. So for example, this area, thanks its proximity to the sea, right? The water is, the humidity, salinity, etc. is high. So how can you build corrosion resistant structures which can withstand cyclones, for example? It will also ensure that the buildings stay structurally strong despite years of wear and tear. So just around you, right? One of the things I saw during my train journey is the amount of dirt or junk which is thrown along the tracks. Right? How can we solve for having good sanitation, quality of air? I notice the quality of air here is good, but once industry starts coming, like I believe you also have a lot of granite operations here. So there are problems waiting to be solved. So all it takes is a certain amount of imagination, a certain amount of thinking about what are the problems around me. So I'll give you one more example. I saw that you have 50 buses here in the campus. Okay. Sir, do we have a bus tracking application? No? Can someone in your school, you have computer science students here, can you build a bus tracking application where what I mean by that is for the college management to know which bus is where and which student is getting dropped off where. And you can build a business around it. If you can build that for your college, you can replicate that across for many other colleges. Right? So some of the opportunities which I identified. So one is obviously agri-tech, aqua farming, soil testing, logistics. Then Andhra has some of the best handloom brands. Okay, particularly all the girls will know, Mangalgiri, Venkatgiri, etc. So can we build a business around handlooms? We have some of the most wonderful scenery here. Sir was telling me Srikakulam is used to be poor man's Ooty. Right? So can we do something around tourism in Andhra? Can we build an application or build something for tourism? Then obviously digital services, local e-commerce, etc. So I'm just giving a short list of opportunities. There will be opportunities in sustainability, there will be opportunities in manufacturing, there will be opportunities in healthcare, etc. I'm not getting into all of that. But there are opportunities, all you have to do is to find problems, take on a problem solver cap, problem solver hat, and figure out how to solve. There is support in the ecosystem. I'm familiar with the Ratan Tata Innovation Hub, which we set up recently. They are in touch with me and they set up 5 centers, including one in Vizag. The target for Andhra is to have 20,000 startups and 8,000 startups in about 2 years. And some of you can be part of that journey. Okay? You don't need permission to start. You can start with zero. I think college management has been generous. They said they are going to give some funding for these startups to solve one problem, identify one problem and solve it, and build something for your college. Right? So for example, I'll give you some examples. How many of you are in 3rd or 4th year? Okay, how many of you are in 2nd year and 1st year? Okay, which of the 3rd year and 4th year students notes are used by the 1st year and 2nd year? Don't think so? So that's an opportunity. If there is somebody in your 3rd year or 4th year whose notes are good, who pays attention in class, doesn't go out to sleep, doesn't belong, whatever, those can be used by 1st year and 2nd year students. You can build an app around it, sort of, right? So there are plenty of opportunities. I give you one bus example, I give you another example. So there are plenty of opportunities around you to go out and figure out what you can build. So how do you start? Very simple. You start small. Don't say I want to build the next $1 billion business or 1,000 crore business. You start small, but you start big. Don't wait for the right moment, because the right moment will never come. Right? I was listening to Director Sir when he was telling me how they started the college. So he was teaching somewhere else in KLI. And then he said suddenly they felt there is no college around here which required, there was no college in this area. And then they decided we'll start. So entrepreneurship is about seizing the opportunity, identifying where there is a white space and saying, okay, we'll start something and start now. Don't wait. Solve high-paying problems. Find something which is troubling you and say, okay, I will go and I'll be the guy who will go out and solve it. Very simple. Test fast, learn fast, and improve. It is about iteration. So don't worry, you may not get it right the first time. So for example, each of the startups I get today, they are work in progress. They are not yet there ultimately. But first of all, kudos to you for starting. It is better to start than it is to be better. So you start first. Important. Second is learn how to do, learn how to revolve quickly, move fast, try something, don't spend too much time if it doesn't work. Figure out how you can find either a workaround or directly solve or move on to something else. Okay? So test fast, learn fast, improve. And very important, mindset is more important than your being. Or BTech, or MTech, or MCA. So all the best businesses in the world have been built by people who have not gone to Harvard or IIM or whatever, but have just figured out there is a problem and I will solve that problem. Okay? And remember one more thing, you can have a lot of ideas, but ideas are worth nothing if you don't execute. So execute. So ideas are required, but execution is more important than ideas. So I'm going to ask each one of you to just look at this 3-step plan. Ask yourself this question. You can all of you just do this exercise. I'll request Manoj maybe at some point to ask them actually whether they thought through these questions. So first of all, observe. If you just observe the environment around you, what frustrates people in your town? Second, can you build something to solve that problem? Third, can you improve, iterate, get feedback, improve and repeat? Just a kind of virtuous cycle, etc. So very simple. First, observe what problems exist. Second, try and think of a solution for that. And third is iterate. Improve. It will take time, but believe me, once you start to see some success, the level of satisfaction you get, the level of self-belief you get, will be far better than any 9.5 or 10 CGPA. So what do you actually need to be successful? Very simple. You need to have a problem-solving mindset. It is not about degree. I know I'm saying this in an academic institution. It is important to get a degree, but more than that, what is valued today is problem solving. Second, willingness to learn. Anything you want to find out today with AI, with YouTube, with Gemini, with Perplexity, with ChatGPT, the answers are a minute away. Right? Keep trying till you succeed. Don't give up. Okay? And also learn how to communicate. I talked about the importance of getting feedback to the free startup segment. Get feedback from users as you build, because they will tell you what are their pain points, and sometimes you discover whatever you are building may not just be solving a specific pain point, but you may also have one or two other use cases. So just keep listening to learn, and to learn to listen is also an important skill. Right? So everyone fails. All entrepreneurs will tell you that nobody has been successful. It's the first thing they've done. It is okay. But the difference between an entrepreneur and an ordinary person is entrepreneurs will keep trying till they become successful. I'm just going to jump to the last thing. Just keep the slide. Okay, so this is a 30-day challenge for each one of you. Okay, for each one of you, take one problem, each one of you, or you can do it as teams. Take one problem, talk to 10 people, try to solve, and go back and use this, what we talked about, right? Build, iterate, solve. Right? Just try and do this, and believe me, it will teach you more than any lab project would have taught you in the 3 or 4 years of engineering. So why is now the perfect time? AI is available, so everything you want, AI tools are available. The government is supportive. The investors are looking at tier 2, tier 3. Today, your parents have sent you to study. Okay. So make the best use of your 3 or 4 years here in the college. And once you start earning a job, and once you have EMIs to service, etc., then life becomes very different. But here you have freedom, you have responsibility, you have freedom, and you have an environment to support what you are building. So focus on that. So the only competition you have is your mindset and the person you are with. Nothing is impossible. If you decide to do it, so because as I said, you don't have to be Einstein to be able to build something. Most businesses are built by ordinary people like you and me. You just have to have a mindset saying, I can be a winner and I can go out and build something. So that's it. You are Technically need solutions, Andhra needs solutions, India needs entrepreneurs, and that can be it. So I just want to leave you with one final message. Your background is not your boundary. You have a huge advantage being in a small place like Italy. solve local problems and help build scalable businesses. Start small, think big, move fast. And I think start today. Today is a good day. Manchuroji. So Manchuroji, we start today, and I'm sure all of you will be successful. So thank you again for the opportunity, and look forward to seeing some great outcomes from
for your words of wisdom and sharing a lot many startup examples. I'm pretty sure it would have ignited a lot many young minds and help us in our entrepreneurial journey. So now we enter the most engaging part of today's program, the fireside chat. Keep your minds running and get ready to ask some great questions which is related to innovation, entrepreneurship and startups. I now request all our dignitaries to be seated with the audience and we will arrange the dais for fireside chat.
40% of the population is in agriculture, only 15% of our GDP comes from agriculture. And also what is happening now is a lot of agriculture is hard work, tough, because there's so many factors which are not in the also with increasing education and income, a lot of people are doing what agriculture. So that is one part of the problem. But there are three things which are basic to all of us. In Hindi we call it roti, chakra or satna, food protein. So agriculture is a requirement. India we have a problem that we have total land area. India has about 32 lakh square kilometers of land, out of which the arable land on which you can do cultivation, is much less than what it is. About 30% is 20% is forest, the rest of it is urban. Now to come back to your specific question, how do you test for the solution which you are doing? So there are 2-3 ways of doing this. One, for example, when I was telling Manoj this, there are specific institutes which are working on solving problems. I'll give you some examples. So we have in Hyderabad, for example, we have an institute called NAIR, National Institute of Agriculture and Rural Management. Similarly, we have ICRISAT, the International Crop Research Institute for Semi-Arid Crops. Then we have the International Millets Institute, based in India. So there are a lot of these labs which are there. In the lab, we give you basically, suppose you are building, so let's say, for example, you are building a solution around precision farming, or you are building a solution on trying to increase productivity or reduce water usage or whatever. You can get a small kind of test bed where you can try that. Now I know this is technically maybe a little bit of a challenge for you, but I think I'm happy to support Manoj and you indirectly in terms of getting connected to these people. So what advice you need will be 2-3 things. One is you probably need some high quality mentors to help you with the solution. Second is you need some pilots that you can do. So there are, for example, I am familiar with 2 or 3 collaborators which are working on trying to solve problems related to agri. Third, there are also some startups which have scaled up to the next level, which are happy to look at solutions which can supplement whatever you are doing. So one is research labs, second is academic institutions, because yours is not an agri college, yours is a engineering and management and engineering. So some ties with agri colleges where you can bring your knowledge of engineering and management. And third is this labs. So these are the 3 or 4, and of course connections to entrepreneurs who are for drink, for example. So there's a bunch of green companies. Some of them you can get it connected so you can help validate what you're solving.
As we are ending
achieving one thing is success, but you continue to push those limits. What kept you motivated even after achieving so much success in your life?
First of all, I think success is all relative. First, one. And second is, I think one thing which I was telling Manu also is anyone who was taught to done some things in life would not have been able to get to that position without a lot of people supporting you. So it could have been starting with school, your teachers, your friends, college, and then your first job, or colleagues, your bosses, and all of that. So all of us, I think, have a responsibility that there are a lot of people who help us, knowingly or unknowingly. And whatever we can do in some way to give back, to support somebody else who's trying to, is what I think is the right way of doing it. Call it dharma or fulfilling your dharma or whatever. I'm not a philosopher. But just trying to see what you can do to help somebody. Right? And if somebody becomes successful in some small way, hopefully they will also do the same. That is how you build ecosystem. So it doesn't have to be, are you carrying 100? So if you see, there's one photo of every node, there's one photo of one person. These are different. Does Gandhi hold any elected post?
No.
But you all remember. Right? Because we did it first. So the same mentality everyone will try and help to the extent you can. Whatever you can. Do it. I think it's good. You'll accumulate some good karma.
You worked 12 years as an IT professional before becoming an entrepreneur. What was the main thing that pushed you to shift from a safe corporate job to startup ecosystem?
So when I started working, with some exceptions, nobody in this room would have been born when I started working in 87. So that time IT industry was in its infancy. Just started 87, 80s is when time was started. So fortunately, one advantage I had when I first 2 or 3 jobs, I worked in 3 companies. I worked in companies which we now call startups. At that time the word startup didn't exist. Startup became fashionable somewhere around 2010. So I worked in 3 companies, worked with good people. Then I realized 1 or 2 things. One is that the people whom I worked for were obviously a little older, obviously they were a little smarter, a little better, and they had experience. But then also when you work with somebody very closely, you also realize one thing, that if you learn from them, you learn. That's why I keep saying, to observe, you can learn a lot of things. You learn, okay, what does it take to build a business? Is it very hard? Okay, or is it very easy? So I learned a few things. First of all, you have to work hard if you want to be successful at anything. You want to do well in your job, or you want to do well in your business or as an entrepreneur. Working hard is a given. That's non-negotiable. So that is one. Second is, if you are passionate about something, you say, listen, for example, talking to the AITAM director, so he told me how they started the college. They identified that there is a need for a institution of quality in the location, there is nothing available. Before they had to work hard. He told me also, very quickly he get approved, sir, I hope he can tell that story. Right? Till he got approved. So once you are determined about once you become successful, the universe will find ways to help you get connected to people who can help you become successful. So I think it's about saying, instead of working for somebody else for all your life, can I go out and make a difference? And can I build something if they can do it, so we talk about in this whole entrepreneurship thing, we talk about role models. So today we look up to, let's say, Elon Musk, or Steve Jobs, or Bill Gates. They are also ordinary people. They also have certain civilized knowledge. They have grown up in a different environment. They can be successful. They don't need to can't be. That's all.
Sir, as you told, you learned so many things from your seniors when you started early. I would like to know one thing. Like, what one mistake you made early in your journey that I should avoid as a new starter?
Okay. It's a little embarrassing, but I tell you. So my first job was with a company called Sonata. Software company. We were for placement. So Sonata started in 1987. And I was employee number 10. One of the early employees in this company. So after some time, I did a few things. Then they asked me to. I was product managing desktop publishing project. Basically, so we had English and all that, but we were trying to build a product for Indian languages. Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, all the 4 languages. So I was product managing, and we had a release. We had to release the product sometime, and because we were in a hurry to release, despite my better judgment, we released the product. Okay. And then obviously it had bugs. And then we had to go back and solve it. Now I tried to cover it. Okay. I tried to cover it. And then what is my fault? Obviously cover up at some point. Somebody will find out that we were trying to cover up, that we hadn't tested it thoroughly before we did it. So he called me and gave me a full notes of why they put the reputation of the company on everything. That's when I realized one more thing, that very important thing, we underestimate the value of integrity in what we do. So sometimes when we're trying to do something, maybe the results may not entirely be in our hands. Some factors may be there which are beyond our control, but it is always best to be upfront and behave with integrity, because like when somebody told me once later, that integrity is what you are in the dark, and integrity is what you do when no one is looking. Right? So the one thing I learned is, if there is make a mistake, it is better to be upfront and say I made a mistake, because once you try to cover it up, then you have to do so many other things to hide the mistake. And I think this is something which I have learned. I learned it the hard way, but I feel if you are committed to what you are doing, even if you make a mistake, but if you make a mistake with the best of intentions, not with some nullified thing, people will be much more forgiving and forgetful about their mistakes.
Thank you, sir. That made me realize that honesty and integrity can be the strongest base for our standard. Thank you.
Particularly for an entrepreneur.
You said that investment is without an investment also we can start a startup, but not for all the ideas. Some may need the investment. So you may have invested in many of the ideas of many of the companies. So what would be your suggestions to young entrepreneurs like us who are starting right now, so that their raw idea can get selected? What are the key indicators and the investor will look into?
Income, right? Okay, so I'll give you a very simple framework on how investors, if they are trying to put money into a company. First of all, I understand one thing when you are investing. So there are multiple types of investors, and I'll very quickly cover what they are. One would be what we call angel investors. Angel investors are high net worth for putting money from their own personal money to invest. So they're taking money from some select investors. So it could be someone you know, who is a senior person, who has some spare money. The other is, let's say, the VC, venture capital VCs. So VCs are essentially, in some ways, money managers. What I mean by this is, they are taking money from a bunch of people, moving that money and then investing in it. Now, how does a VC look? So VC has a responsibility. Suppose I take money from 10 people. I will tell them, for example, each person say 1 crore. So I accumulated 10 crores and now I invest in each of the ideas. I have to be able to tell them that by investing in ideas, I will be able to give them a good return. Better than what they would get, for example, investing in a fixed project or even investing in the market, etc. It will be a better. So what are the 5? So there is a simple framework. Call it 5 T's. 5 T's. What are the 5 T's? First is a VC to look at the team. And what is the team here? So when you say team, so one thing which I like about the 3 teams that we have from the gas department and also the animal repellent is all of you have seen the problem first. It's coming from a personal visceral experience that we got. So what is the team? So why has this team chosen this problem to be solved? That's the first. What experience do they have in understanding the depth of the gravity of the problem? That is the first thing. The second is what is the size of the market? So if the problem is solved, this is what team, team. Second is TAM, TAM, total addressable market. Because if you solve this problem, so say whatever problem you are trying to solve for e-commerce, if you solve that problem, is there a large enough market? Will there be enough people willing to buy and enough people willing to pay? And how much will they be willing to pay? Also, apart from that, of course, there are few other things, which is who are the existing players in the market? What are they doing? And what will you be doing which is different from what they are doing? Right? I mean, there are, if you take cars, there are a range of cars. Right? So there is a Maruti, there is a Honda, there is a Toyota, there is a Mahindra, etc. Now each of them caters to a certain set of buyers. Right? Or if you wear, for example, say clothes. Right? So you will have different types of clothing brands available, and each one of us will choose depending on our style, our preference, our budget. So what is the total addressable market? So team, TAM. Third is technology. So what is the technical solution which you are building today, which is different, which is unique? Okay? And how are you building it? The maximum value. Okay, so let's take one example. All of you know of electric vehicles, one in campus. So we all think Elon Musk is the first guy to come up with it. There are others, but he perfected the technology ahead of the others. Okay? Similarly, if you take computers, right? We all know Apple. We all know IBM. Okay? They were not the first guys to make PCs. They were somebody else. But they were able to do it better, more efficiently, and deliver more value. So team, TAM, technology. Fourth is traction. So what do we mean by traction? So in each of your cases, whatever you are building, it applies to other traction. Get pilot adoption as quickly as you can. So for example, in your case, suppose you get 10 shrimp farmers to sign up for what you are doing. Or for example, in the cattle case, if you get 5 or 6 or 10 people, you will be able to refine your product faster. Otherwise, what happens is, too many times we are thinking, we know what the problem is, we know what the solution is, but ground reality, the farmer or the cattle farmer or the shrimp farmer will know a lot more about his problem than you can. So talk to users all the time. Okay? And how quickly you can start getting people to pay you for it. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they pay you 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 100 rupees. If somebody says I'm willing to pay you 100 rupees for what you are doing, it is a demonstration that we see some value in this. If you give it away free, there is no value. Okay. Why paying fees to come to college? Because you are getting some value in return. Same logic. If you pay fees, you may have a choice of going to another college with lesser fees, but you are coming to this college and paying these fees. Why? Because you feel for the fees which you are paying, you are going to get value. Same logic. So traction. And last one is trench. Trench setting, you have a fort. Fort goes right up. They give one water bottle to prevent people from coming into the fort and attacking you. So what is your unique differentiation? So I'll give one of the examples for you to understand this one. Now, you have Flipkart, you have Amazon. You have Ola, you have Uber. You have Swiggy, you have Zomato. Okay? They started off whatever 10-15 years ago. Now, if somebody else comes and says, I want to build the next Swiggy, or the next Zomato, or the next Ola, or the next Uber, or the next Flipkart, or the next Amazon, very difficult. Why is it difficult? It may not be difficult to do what they are doing. Model-wise you can do, but they have reached such volumes. They have raised so much money. They have such big teams. It will be damn difficult for you to compete. You may be able to compete and win in a small part of the market, but can you compete with them across? Answer to you. So trenches is, how will you prevent competition from eating you alive? Okay, so 5 T's again. Team, TAM, tech, trenches, and traction. And think obsessively about this. If you are building something, keep asking yourself very regularly on all 5. Are you, like, suppose you are today on the 25th of November. Okay. December 25th, ask yourself, okay, how much progress have I made on each of these 5? Let's say, for example, right now you are on a scale of 2 or 3 or whatever, for each of those 5. How are you moving month on month? Because if you are stagnating, you won't move forward.
So, if a 21-year-old has raised initial funding with any DST grant, and he has to hire an employee or some other person, how can he manage an employee with 10 years experience?
In the knowledge economy, it is not the number of years you have. I'll give you an example which I give a lot of people. How many of you have gone to a bank branch recently? Bank branch, physical bank branch. I know you draw money from ATM. Your parents are your ATM right now. But how many of you have physically gone to a bank branch? Huh? Okay, so, go. So there's one fellow called teller in the bank branch. So what he does in the old days, it's not there now because the ATMs are. So if you needed to draw money, you have to fill up one form. And fill up the form with your bank account, how much money you have drawn, etc. Then we give you one token. Then you one display there, which calls the token out. Then you go give this thing, then we check. You will see how much balance you have. So suppose you have 10,000 rupees in your account, and you are drawing 1,000 rupees. You will first check whether you have balance, second is how much you are drawing, and then he'll count and he'll give you. There are people who have done this job for years. So he has done the same job for 20 years. So it's actually 1 year experience multiplied 20 times. There are others who would have done far less. You may have done 5 years, but have done 5 different things apart from checking balance, giving cash, and reconciling it. I give you a slightly different example to illustrate the point. So it is not material. how many years you have. Okay, so let's take any example, even the examples which I saw. If you know the problem, and if you have come up with a technical solution, okay, just to go back to the tech part in the team, right? If you know the solution, people will be willing to come with that. Why are so many people going and working for those 20-year-olds in Zepto? Because of knowledge. They knew, they figured out the problem. The next wave of what is going to happen is people want everything in 10 minutes now. So how can you deliver it instead of the very minute? So it is not material. Okay. That age is important. So age gives you some, for example, because of age, you would have seen many situations, you would have some experience. But in many cases, it's not the only thing. It is the idea which, if you have a great idea, you can persuade anybody to come and work.
Thank you so much, sir.
Audience has gone off to sleep.
Some of our founders in future, they want to take an exit from their company. What could be the best stage to take the exit? Best stage of startup to take the exit?
So, see, it's not a very straightforward answer. Okay, because when you take an exit, so there are multiple things you have to think about. Right? So at some point, so for example in my case, the first venture was bootstrap. Bootstrap was typically external five of us. And second time we had VCs. So for in the first case, so as founders, we ran a good business, we did all of that, we enjoyed ourselves, we used to make decent money. But then one challenge is, you always have to remember that the world is becoming more and more competitive. And when we decided to exit the second business, we were in a happy situation that we had built the third or fourth largest company in that space. And the big guys were starting to come into that space. And they were having obviously much more capital than us. So we had started running into two issues. One is that some of our talent, people who were hiring, were now saying, boss, that guy, IBM is going to pay me so much more. And beyond the point, it's hard to retain people just because passion and love for what you're doing. Money also starts to matter. That is one. Second is, you also need to, sometimes you have to start thinking about a safety cushion for yourselves. Because as entrepreneurs, I can tell you, compared to people, my colleagues, my friends, who are all working in corporate jobs, monetarily we were making less money than they were. So for example, if they were making, let's say, 40-50 lakhs, we were making about 30-35 lakhs annually. But we had one thing which they didn't have. We had equity in the business. If the equity was worth substantial, how do you monetize that equity? You monetize that equity when you sell. So, without getting too complicated, I made a simple equation. Suppose I work for 10 years in a corporate job. I make X amount of money. If I work for myself for 10 years, on an annual basis, I may not make X. And you make maybe 0.7 X, 0.8 X. But there's a delta of 0.2 X compared to working for a profit. But when we exit the business, we should make a disproportionate amount of money compared to those who work in a corporate. So that's how the equation works. So you decide to exit when you feel you've done as much as you can. There is a need for some kind of, we also have families and all that. And you have to make sure that you created enough of, let's say, enough of liquidity for yourself. Right? Because you've taken a big risk when you started. Right? So to some extent you have to secure your future. If you want to secure your future, sometimes saying, okay, I've done what I can, and if I sell it to a company like IBM, which is a good company, it is good for us, it is good for the employees. We made 2005, 50 people in my company became shareholders. In 2005. So the crore is not much now, but in 2005 it is a lot of money. Right? So those 50 people are now lifelong. Anything I ask them to do, they do.
As founders, you gave so much strength to our decision making in the future. Now, questions for the audience. Anyone?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sudhani and I am pursuing MBA in this college last year. As you worked in an IT sector, my question is, how do you see the fate of future employability as there is a revolutionary AI now, as Elon Musk have already stated that there will be no jobs in future for money. How do you predict it, sir?
Okay, I like Elon Musk, but sometimes he's, I should use this word, ruthless. So he's a fake hook. I'll tell you why. Right? So he makes predictions like this because that suddenly will become headline news. And if you look at the number of predictions he made about many things, so for example, his first business, the EV business, he said EVs will completely replace all cars. They don't have to replace all cars. Cars will still be there. Hybrids will be there. Internal combustion cars will be there for some time. It will take time. Second is, if you take AI has certainly made significant steps. So whatever you are familiar with all these LLMs, what are LLMs doing today? There is data, they work on data, fine-tune their models, keep getting trained, and then regurgitate information, give it back. But LLMs cannot go off like this. They haven't got to that stage. Which is, for example, how do you bring emotion into something? How do you bring empathy into something? So not everything is a finite set of mathematics or equations. Right? So how do you bring judgment? How do you bring the ability to connect disparate things happening together? All of those things, AI is still far away. AI is going to be very good at something. Some jobs will definitely get. So for example, if you take testing, software testing, that lots of it will get on. But there are certain other things which human beings will still be required. For example, let's take medicine. In medicine, certain things like, for example, can we accelerate drug discovery? It takes a lot of time for you to produce a molecule. Why does it take so long? Because you keep matching different patterns to come up with the right formulation and then test it. That can be accelerated. But can you replace an expert surgeon? So I would like to think AI will augment humans, and by and large it will not replace them. I'll give you one more example. You must have flown many times on a plane. No? You flown? Planes have autopilot. Then why do we need pilots to be sitting there? Same logic.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Anuradha. I am pursuing MBA in this college. As we can see that there are 682 lakhs of micro and small enterprises, which is appreciable. But at the same time, seat units are also increasing. So So how can we confirm that the technology exactly leads to sustainability? Technology.
Why do you, so I think you two separate questions, but I have answered that. The units become sick because of a variety of reasons. I thought somebody will ask one question. Why do startups fail? Why do 90% of startups fail? Variety of reasons. I talked about strategy and execution. So if you don't have the right strategy, you can fail. If you don't have the right execution, you can fail. And those 5 T's, you haven't got the 5 T's by and large, to some extent sorted out, you will fail. Because let's say you are operating in a very crowded market, so there are 10 tons of other people competing with you. How will you win? You will not win. So suppose you say, let's take automobile. Today you have lots of very well-entrenched brands. Hyundai, Skoda, Volkswagen, there are lots of brands. And you say, I am doing another car. Why will people buy? They will not buy. So coming back to your question, units turn sick for a variety of reasons. Sometimes just pure execution. The execution itself is poor. You are operating in an extremely competitive market space. So sometimes government regulations can cause policy problems. Third is, suppose you have a single founder. So single founder has to do everything. He has to do sales, marketing, he has to do product development, he has to do HR, he has to raise money, manage money. Sometimes it can be difficult. So it's always better to look at teams which have more than 1 or 2 people together as part of the founders. So usually tech failure can happen, but it's not the only reason why companies fail. There can be many other reasons apart from tech failure. I hope I answered your question.
Good evening, sir. I am Grishman from CSM Department first year. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your knowledge and guidance. Sir, if you were a student again, what problem would you choose to give a solution?
It become many problems.
Which sector would you choose first?
So I would say, for example, I think 2, 3 multiple issues. Okay, so I will link it back to there are, if you go to your incubator, I saw, you have those 17 SDGs. Are you familiar with the SDGs? SDGs? Sustainable Development Goals. No? So, in each of those, there is something waiting to be solved. So, let's take an example. We don't have clean water. We don't have clean air. We don't have affordable housing. So we can't give healthcare to everyone. And so on. So each of this is a problem waiting to be solved. This is mundane stuff. Tech-wise, there are plenty of problems. Hundreds of problems. So I said, that's why I said, observe. You ask yourself here. So for example, in this room now, we are using air conditioning, which is not very effective. Right? Is there a way to replace this air conditioning with something which is less energy consuming?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Vishal. I am from CSM first year, and I have a subset of questions to ask. So the question goes like, now I read your LinkedIn profile, and it has been mentioned that you are an advisor to a cybersecurity company, which raised $25 million recently. Now the thing is,
I was in the fund, I'm also advising
So the thing is, for example, it has been always said that every idea was once drafted on paper and now it's drafted in reality. So the thing is, for example, I have an idea and I have to deal with a company. So what is the step-by-step procedure that I should follow so that my idea gets implemented? Because I don't have that much time or resources that they have. So because I'm a beginner in the market. So what will be your strategy and advices that you give to a beginner who has just stepped into the market? And the second question is, as you might have heard the news that Telegram operates only on 30 people globally. So is it practically possible or it is like fake only? So I just need a clarity on that.
So I'll answer the first one. You can get your name.
Vishal.
Vishal. So Vishal, you have a gentleman sitting in front of you. Yes. So Manoj will explain to you as you go forward. You will convert an idea into something for you to be taken seriously. So there is a framework called TRL, Technical Readiness Level. So there are stages 0 to 3, stages 4 and 5, then 6, 7, then 8, 9. So I won't get into this. For you to be, suppose I'm a corporate sitting there and I'll, in general, if you come up with an idea, paper napkin, I'll say, boss, bana ke dekho, something which I can actually see. Till you get to stage 5, and will not take you very seriously. In most cases. So some of the ideas which I made today, some of them are at TRL 3, TRL 4, some of them are at TRL 2. Now, you have made up, I'm not going to discourage you, you made some progress, but there's a lot more work. And which is where whatever is being set up now in your project, if you have an idea, bounce it off this and refine that idea. Work on how to convert that idea into reality.
Sure, sir.
So that's where we are. So the second question is ready.
Yes, sir. The Telegram founder, he stated that he operates only on 30 people globally, and he has raised some $1 billion. So
WhatsApp also, same thing.
Yes, sir. So is that practically possible? Because he says that quality over quantity is very essential.
No, I agree. Depending on what you do. So, for example, if you are trying to run a, let's say, a large-scale logistics business, which is what, let's say, Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, Uber, or whatever, you need a lot of people, right? But if you are trying to build a product or a platform, sort of thing, in today's time and age, you don't require a very large team to build something.
Yes, sir.
So if you are building a services business, then you probably need a lot of people. So if you are building, let's say, a hospital, you need a lot of people to be around. Whereas if you are building, say, I'm going to do something for diagnostics, and I'm not going to be implementing it, but I'll build a platform, do it out to people. That can be built by a relatively small group.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Tarun. I'm the third year student data science and a student founder. And my question was, we are seeing that there is a huge change in technologies where Google was earning money through advertisement, where Google was earning 80% of the earning was from the advertising. Now we are going to AI technologies like ChatGPT, Gemini, where people go and search through these search engines. There is a huge downfall in these Google because people are not going to the Google and not searching their.
Have you seen Gemini? Have you seen Gemini?
Google. Yes, sir.
No, so two things since you mentioned Google. Reading today, the Google stock price went up this year alone. Google stock price has gone up by 58%. Google has now close to a $4 trillion market cap, which is ahead of Microsoft and Apple, because a lot of people think Google is going to be OpenAI. We all know this strategy, but now they think Google is a very serious contender to win in the AI race.
Thank you.
And now Google's SEO and all of that, and now there is a new thing which is geolocation. They're going to make money there also.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Kalyani, MSc student and student founder, sir. As you are from T-Hub ecosystem, our college also in the development of the incubation. So, what are the three main non-financial metrics need to develop a successful startups from this environment and helpful for the students also?
For an academic incubator, there are a few things, and I'll share this with Manoj later. So the first thing I look at is how many ideas are coming. How many ideas are coming? Just ideas. Okay. I'm not talking about, the first metric is how many ideas are getting generated. How many ideas are students getting? That's the first part. Second is how many of those ideas are getting converted into startups. Third, how many students are involved. So I believe you have now 6,000 students here. So out of the 6,000, how many students are coming up with ideas? Fourth, so first is ideas. Second is how many ideas. Second is how many students are involved. Third is how many startups are actually getting built. How many jobs are getting created by the startups. Then how much funding has been made available. Funding meaning, for example, you have gone, like I think you got this 8 lakhs, 15 lakhs from Mandi, right? How much such money have you been able to raise? So that is also going to be an important metric. Then one or two other things is, have you built any specialization in a few sectors? Suppose you say, okay, for example, logically to me, agri, and areas like that would be agri-tourism, which are local to locally. How many companies are getting incubated and how many specific vertical specializations are you getting? So funding, number of startups, number of ideas, how many professors are involved in the building of your startups. So ideally, it would be great if you ask a question, if there's a prof who may be 15 years old, 20 years older than you, if he works for you, to me that is a good thing. So how many projects have you done with that? The other thing also is, how many interdisciplinary projects are happening? Meaning, some of you are from CS, some of you are from civil, some mechanical, some of you are from MBA, type of thing. Because I asked one question, the director sir. I asked him 60 students in MBA. How many of them are engineers? He said very few of them are engineers. Now, one of the challenges you have as engineers, most of you are continuing as engineers, is you don't know business, they don't know engineering, right? So you must find a way for you to form teams, in your teams, where you get somebody from the MBA class. So all these acronyms I'm telling you, GTM, go-to-market, product market fit, annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, all those MBA type abbreviations you learn very quickly with them being around you.
So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Last question.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mahankala Sharma. I am a student founder. And my question is, sir, as you know, sir, I am building a solution for a weed-free crop. Weed-free farming.
Weed-free farming.
So my question is, sir, so as you know, we are from the type 3. And what is the best strategy for us to attract the Tier 1 talents?
Build a good thing, they'll come. I gave you some examples, right? Cost of living is lower, right? Quality of life is better. See, one or two things you have to start doing, and I think that's what Manoj will do, is you have to become much more visible. All of you, how many of you are active on LinkedIn? How many of you are active on, take part in national competitions? Right? You've got a plant, make some noise, do all of those things. Start becoming visible, and then people will come. So for you to, for example, for your startup, right? How many of you come from an agri background? In your startup?
Sir, in my 2 people, sir.
2 people have an agri background? Yeah, that's good, because then they can attract, help you attract other people. Yeah? But seriously, one more thing is think about this MBA engineering collaboration. So for MBA students looking to do their projects and all that, work on live projects, help them make a business plan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your meaningful insights and sharing your experiences. And I hope it solved a lot of many queries of our students and changed our perception towards startup and innovation. So moving forward, before we conclude, I would like to call upon the dignitaries and arrange the slides.
I want to thank Vinita, Kavalika and Gayatri for their questions, and also thank all of you. Thank you so much.
AITAM RISE is not just a launch, but a spark that will ignite many young minds. Thank you all for your presence, your support, and your energy throughout the program. This is Smriti signing off.
Thank you, everyone.